Hey YouTube, Jedi Fuka here, and in this video I want to do a quick video over my strategy on how I'm leveling up my characters at the beginning of the season, and also I want to show you guys a free-to-play speedrun of the Goblin here. So for starters, to get into this, the most important thing about this is going to be this Clepsydra torrent here, which has 3 days left on the server. Now, a few things with this is, number one, you want to use this as much as you can during the beginning to optimize your experience gains. But before this ends, like, I highly recommend that you set some type of reminder to come in here and reset every hero you have. Like, the ones I have now are definitely not the heroes that I want to start my account with. So before this resets, you got to come in here and make sure that you clear those and get all your experience back, and then decide which team you want to invest in first. So what we're going to do first is I want to show this little speed run that I'm doing right here. It's not super fast, but it is very free to play friendly, and then tell you guys how to beat this, and then I'm going to go through how I'm doing my experience gaining and how I'm leveling up all my characters. So right now we are on stage 5. You can use this team on any stage, just building it up for which stage you're on. We've already got up to level 70 from doing this type of a farm. Now this is not the team that I use. However, I went in here and I picked nothing but rare champions and the starting main character here to show you guys that you can do this with even free to play champions. So basically the goal is that you need AoE hitters. This team does not have any synergy at all. They are just all selected to be AoE hitters. My recommendation is, when you're going through your characters here, at least make sure you get the 3-person synergy. Doesn't matter if you have 5 for this beginning, but 3-person is always important to get the little extra bonus. The other thing is, I would recommend picking characters who might have a little bit more synergy. You want to play in whatever epics you have, whatever legendaries you have. For anyone who's just starting out the game or only played a little bit in season 2 and doesn't have very many champions, this is just to give you an idea of what to do. It's all about AoE hits. Now, what I would highly recommend is going in here and modifying this with people who are going to work better together. If you are dying in this stage using nothing but attack champions, then pull someone out and bring in a tank and put your tank up front. Now, once you get to your characters leveled up, you will not need a tank at all. It's very unnecessary to have a tank in here because these goblins don't hit very hard, but when you're first getting this going, it does help. So the goal is like I said, the AoE hits. We'll let this run and show you guys kind of what's going on here. Now for this team, the only slight synergy we do have, turn off on time, is Sigrid here, is if you get a debuff out. So I'm using Irina here. She's an amazing rare champion that lands a debuff. She lands her debuff, or if he lands his attack down and then Sigrid comes in and hits, she'll do that AoE hit and knock everyone down pretty hard. The hardest hitting character on here is going to be the MC. He does a lot of damage, and if you guys don't have very many epics or any legendaries, highly recommend to make sure you're utilizing him. All the champions I picked here, like I said, are all rare, and they're all rares that can do decent damage. And the reason why I showed these is because you can build teams around these rares or combining them with the epics that you do have. So you'll see here, like I said, main thing is getting these AoE hits. We get a little bit of synergy once they line up and there's debuffs out, and then Sigrid can come in and do her hits. That helps a lot whenever we get those going like that, and definitely helps us clear this a lot quicker. Your goal is, when you're doing Goblin, for those of you who don't know, is just doing the highest stage you can do. Doesn't matter what your time is, as long as you can beat the stage, you're going to get more than the stage before. So we'll see here, there's going to be one more wave after this one. Oh nope, that was the last wave, just kidding. So that was it. So you see there, we got the 2-star. I was going to cancel it before it ended because I didn't want to use the energy, but that's alright. I thought we still had one more wave, but as you see, we got 2 stars. This is still better than 3-starring the stage before, so whatever stage you can complete, make sure you're doing that one. Now, whenever you guys are picking champions, you want to move in some synergy. So for this team, for instance, main character, you can synergize a lot with him. come over here to your fire champions and see who you have that does AoE, especially in your epics. Some people to watch out for. People like Dane who have really good AoE hits. Tunnel in here is not super powerful for this because he's a single target, but he does hit pretty hard. And then you can go through your wild champions. You could always pick out like a wild or two fire from whatever epic that you have, and then you can drop down into your rares, and then you can do your wild champions down here, like Netta here, something like that, and then that would give you a little bit of synergy, so you could do a team that's somewhat like this, depending on who you have. Or any Sigurd combo. For those of you who have already pulled Sigurd, she's really good at this, especially if you synergize her correctly. Where did she go? There we go. So for Sigurd, you want someone who's gonna do a decrease, not a decrease attack, but any type of penalty on them to go first. Irina here, super hard hitting rare, also has an AoE attack penalty down 2. This is a champion that if you don't have attack penalty 2 epics built out or a legendary, then I highly recommend you build her anyways, because she's going to come really handy later on in the game. She hits hard. She also lands a really good debuff, and then as you get later in the game where she's not keeping up on the hitting hard, she can still land a debuff for you. Main character, super good with his. This guy right here, he's really not that great, but he does have an attack penalty too, which does help. He does hit decent. He does fall off later in the game, but for early game farming this, it's good. And then Eli is another really good poison champion. So just wanted to show that off real quick. It's nothing crazy, but it is a free-to-play way to farm the Goblin dungeon for those of you who are just getting going. Now, those of you who have been playing for at least a little bit, make sure you're plugging your epics in there. Don't stick with all those free champions. That's just to show you that it can be done for this first part, because during the first part of the game, the farming for experience is super easy. Now, the next thing you want to do is that you're going to have your materials processed for upgrading your champions. So just to show what that's going to kind of look like real quick is if we go and say we get rid of these champions here. Also, one thing that they did change is if you go to, say, rebuild a champion, you can check this little box and you'll keep your equipment on them. So that was one thing that was annoying last time, where you'd go rebuild them and it kept taking all your equipment off. We can now change that up to where they keep their equipment on if you have particular equipment that you don't want moved around. But when you go to upgrade your champions, I'm sure most of you know, you click in here. For each special set you hit, you'll hit the level 50. It requires your material on there, and then when you hit 70, it's going to require some more material. And in order to get that is of course going to be through all of these dungeons. As you see, I now have gotten to where I hit a full level 70 team, but I don't have all the material I need, so I definitely need to do ice. So what I like to do is, I'm not going to show off teams yet for these. Those will be for other videos. I also have videos already on that from last season. If you are looking for a team, go check those out. But what I like to do is I set up my team that I'm going to use in here. So whoever I have going, I'll level my team out. I'll do this dungeon, get however many I'm wanting to farm, leave here, go into the Clepsydra Torrent, rebuild my heroes, and then after I rebuild those, then I'm going to go to the next one and I'm going to do the same thing. Whenever you are doing this section, when you first start the game, if you want to maximize getting the most characters leveled up early on, so that when that Clepsydra Torrent's over, you'll have as many built out teams as you can get to, which you're only going to be able to really build out one solid team to start with, and then you'll come back and farm Goblin. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pick out your 2 best affinities. So for me, my lightning and poison affinity is really good, and then my frost and radiant affinity is really good. Those are probably going to be about the same for you too. So I'd recommend coming in, farming whichever 2 dungeons first for those 2. And the reason why is you'll come in, you'll use your lightning team to farm the frost dungeon, and then once you get however many you need from there, you'll use your frost team to come down and farm the lightning. so that then you can go up and go to the next stage, because you're going to need to level up your characters in order to increase your stages and keep farming on there. What I did last season, and it worked really well for me, and hopefully this helps some of you guys out who even been playing all of last season, is when it was time for the Clepsydra Torrent to end, we were on, of course, Goblin Layer 2 by then, and I was doing Goblin Layer 2 Stage 5, so what I did was I built out my Goblin team as my first primary team, because when you're doing the story, it doesn't matter what team you have built out, because your story is super simple, and as long as you have leveled characters, it's going to work. And I'm going to do the same thing this season. Whenever I get to Goblin Stage 2 and I get it as high as I can go, I'm going to take my Goblin team, and it's going to be my first leveled up team for sure. This is what I'm using now. I'm going to make it even better, but I've just been playing around with different synergies right now for my tech champions. But the reason why I did that was whenever you do your 2 teams, is you're farming to level up your teams in here. So you're farming dungeons we were just talking about. You pick your 2 to farm. You're getting your teams going. What's going to happen is you're going to be able to, say, build a full level 100 team on your main team before the Clepsydra Torrent's over, or if not a level 100, you're at least going to be getting like level 90, or definitely you'll have enough to farm 2 full level 70 teams, but maybe a full level 90 team as far as the material goes, but you're not going to have the experience. So the goal is to say at the end of this, we have a level 90 for our main team, and we're going back and forth. I want to get my Goblin team built out so that when this is over, I'll have, say, my Frost Radiant team built out for Goblin that I'm using. I'll level that team up to level 90. Then my secondary team that I was using for actually farming their material is all going to be level 1s. But what I'll do is then I'm going to utilize all my energy into Goblin to finish leveling up that team. And that'll give me 2 teams at the end of the Clepsydra Torrent to keep farming these up. So if I have the easiest explanation, if I have a level 90 team here, and then I have this team, I have all the materials needed to get a level 90 team, but they're all going to be level 1 because we're not going to have the energy. Then at the end of the Clepsydra, I'll make sure that this team is what I have built out so that I don't waste my energy, my experience, and then I'm just gonna do nothing but farming Goblin until both teams are completely leveled up before I go back to farming anything else, any artifacts, dungeons, anything. And that'll give me my 2 teams that'll go back and forth until we have full level 100 team, and then you just go from there. For me, my goal is to get 2 level 100 teams first, then I'll get a 3rd level 100 team. And once I have each 3 synergies with level 100 teams, then I'm just going to start building up the champions that I want going on from that, while starting to utilize better farms for artifacts. So anyways, guys, that's it for this video. Hopefully I didn't get too convoluted with the explanation there, but basically be careful with the Clepsydra Torrent. Make sure you're farming for your experience right now. And then that way, once the Clepsydra Torrent is up, you'll have as much experience as you can to have a good solid team to get your account rolling. Another consideration that you could take in is that Vortex is the one thing that's going to affect your end of season rankings. So for those of you who don't really realize it, I know some of you that were like messaging me at the end of the last season and you were struggling, you were really worried you were going to drop out of the top 150, which now it's going to be the top 300. Well, some of that will come down to this early game. You're going to start getting the echoes of Clepsydra from the Vortex boss. So you want to start hitting him as hard as you can. So another strategy, instead of trying to get your energy farming team going, is to use whoever you're using on Vortex that you're hitting the highest with. Make sure you end the Clepsydra Torrent with that team build, and then use that team to continue pushing the rest of your teams, which that may be what I do this season, depending on how things go. Anyways, guys, just want to throw that in there. Hopefully that helps you out. Y'all have a good one.